So nice to see you all. It's a great pleasure because I think we have something in common that creates an incredible linkage here, which is our passion and our commitment and our engagement to reduce air pollution. I was about to say to stop it, but this is maybe too ambitious for the moment, but definitely to reduce it and to propose interventions that will take us to that end. And what we are having today is exactly that, is using the fantastic expertise we have around the world. Many of you has contributed to these science policy briefs. I know that some of them took months of exchange. The technical advisory group has been absolutely critical on that. Your expertise, your engagement and commitment and giving us your contribution is definitely one of the best parts of the work on WHO. The idea is now translating all of this knowledge, all of this expertise on interventions, on policy briefs, to make sure that no one at the government level, at the mayor's level, at the municipality, at the academic world, nobody should be able to say, I didn't know what to do. And this is the purpose of this beautiful material that we are presenting today. We are looking at different pieces. You will hear more from the presentations, but the purpose is make sure that we are digesting the science, the expertise, translating that on useful tools on different topics, and then, as I say, nobody should be able to say, I didn't know, and therefore I didn't take action. Through this webinar, we want to not only thank you very much for your contribution and maintain the level of engagement, but as well to make sure that we will disseminate those policy briefs, that we will do our best to make sure that they reach as many desks of mayors, of policymakers, of governments, of even small institutions. Everybody can do something about it. And that's why having this big network of people connected today give us a lot of hope and definitely maintain our passion for what we are doing. I see that we have at the moment 251 people connected, which is really a very nice number and very successful. So I thank my colleagues for organizing it. Sophie has been coordinating this technical advisory group, and I know that Paul has been organizing this, and Heather, so thank you very much for that. And to all of you, thank you for the contribution, and I hope really that this material will be extremely useful to all of you, and to push and to make sure that we will have a good result after. Let me now give it to you, Sophie, and maybe you will introduce John, who will be presenting as well. And thanks all for being connected. My name is Maria Neira. I forgot to mention it at the beginning, and I am the director of the Department of Environment, Climate Change and Health. Not for a long time now, but still my engagement to the cause of air pollution will remain for a long time. So over to you, Sophie, and good webinar to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. I will now give the floor to David Forster. David Forster is a policy advisor at the UK Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, where he focuses on international development, climate policy, and global health. He brings experience in multilateral engagement and evidence-based policy to support the UK's international priorities. David, over to you for the opening.
Thanks very much, Sophie. And thank you for inviting me to speak today. I know we've got a lot to cover, so I'll keep this short. But we just wanted to say the UK is really pleased to be able to provide its support for the science policy snapshots. And we think they're a really important resource. Firstly, I'd like to thank the whole WHO team for all the work that's gone into these. And while the SPSs are designed to be summaries rather than sort of detailed technical papers, we really welcome the rigor with which they've been developed, including contributions, as Maria said, from the Technical Advisory Group, WHO Collaborating Centres, and others. So thank you everyone for the work. We think it's resulted in a really robust set of products that can stand up to challenge. We also think that the timing of these products couldn't be better. With the WHO conference in Colombia a few months ago, and the agreement of that target to reduce the health impacts of air pollution by 50% by 2040, the level of ambition to tackle air pollution is at a high point right now. So these SPSs have arrived at a really good time. We have all these decision makers and officials leaving Cartagena enthused about taking action. Some of them perhaps wondering exactly how they're going to meet the commitments that they've just made. So this is the time to really capitalize on that appetite to take action, and ensure that there's a really solid evidence base in place to support that thinking and the scoping of policy options. And we think the SPSs can really contribute towards that. One of the things that we think is particularly positive about the summaries is that they have a much broader focus than just the sort of the impact of air pollution, whether that be health, climate, economic. Now, it's always good to refresh the evidence on those things, and they're hugely important in terms of defining the case for action. But of course, the immediate follow-up question is always going to be, what do we do about it? Because none of us want these products to just sit on a shelf. It's really important, as Maria said, that they're integrated into policy development and the latest thinking on action. So we're really pleased that many of the summaries will offer options for sectoral solutions in areas like agriculture, waste, and others, as well as on things like legislation for air quality management. These are all really important issues. And these summaries contain evidence-based options for policymakers to consider when taking forward their air quality management plans. And we think that integration of science and policy is really important, not just at the country level, but also regionally and multilaterally. It's really key to achieving the impact on the ground that we all want to see. And the UK has been involved in several initiatives which we think have made this link particularly well. I think the Convention on Long-Range Transboundary Air Pollution, set up in 1979, is one example. So that agreement was established to provide a forum for discussion around reduction of air pollutants in the UNECE. But an important part of what made it successful was that right from the start, you had this dual framework of scientific assessment and political interaction, and that was implemented. And that model led to a really credible set of discussions rooted in science, and has really contributed to significant reductions over the past 45 years. So I think what we really want to see now is for these SPSs to be a catalyst for discussion, and really built into the thinking of development banks, bilateral donors, countries, as well as initiatives like the CCAC, which the UK has recently taken on the co-chair of. We need to make sure that all that knowledge is central in the decision-making process, because that will also lead us to stronger, more robust strategies, and ultimately will bring us closer to that target of reducing the health impacts of air pollution by 50% by 2040. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David, for this introduction, and Maria. Okay, I will continue with providing you with an introduction. So first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Sophie Gumi. I'm working as a technical officer in Geneva in WHO on air quality and health. And I'm a very privileged person to work with a great team of people. So today you see my face, but in fact, this is a collective effort. This is not only me. So I will be presenting as part of the team. I would like to start by saying on behalf of WHO, a huge thank you to all the many individuals and institutions without who evidence-based summaries, guidance, and recommendation on air quality, energy access, and health could not be possible. Those people, they are either part of WHO expert groups, of WHO collaborating centers, of part of institutions that are in formal agreement with WHO, or any other experts from ad hoc expert group. We would like especially to express a big thank you for all those experts that we are regularly in contact with over the years, the ones from the Global Air Pollution and Health Technical Advisory Group, our experts from the Scientific Advisory Group, our collaborating centers champions, as well as all the others, and the new one that we have been pulled in for the development of those SPS in new topics like agriculture and land use. Those were topics for which we didn't have any documents before. Without you, without your expertise, without your knowledge, without your experience, your kindness and patience, all this work would not have been possible. So thank you. And also I would like to thank all my colleagues, Christina, Caroline, Paul, Pierre, Carla, Samantha, Wenlu, Abe, Maria, Lida, Salvatore, Aubrey, and of course, Heather and Maria for being great colleagues. Okay, one of my colleagues, can you put the slide on for the presentation? Thank you. Okay, so I will try to be not too long. So this introduction is really to provide you with an overview. So can you, yes, the second slide, please. Yes, okay, thank you. So the science and policy summaries on air quality, energy and health, they were, as mentioned, developed, they were elaborated and in the wake of the WHO Second Conference on Air Quality, Air Pollution and Health to provide background information on member states on various topics. Next slide, please. The second conference was organized with the government of Colombia in Cartagena in March 2024, convening about 700 people participants for 3 days. There was a very good mix of country representatives, experts, civil society organization, health community, and all relevant UN agencies working on the topic of air quality who interacted over about 30 sessions over the 3 days. And the last day welcomed high-level participants, including the President of Colombia, and about 50 commitments on clean air action for health were announced. Finally, participants welcomed the adoption of a global target to halve the health impact of air pollution by 2040. And that target was officially endorsed as a voluntary target in May at the World Health Assembly 78. Next slide, please. Okay, so the objective of those science and policy summaries are the following. It's basically to sharing the latest evidence and continue to raise awareness on the impact of health and how to address it. Taking stock of progress since 2015, when the WHO resolution to address air pollution was adopted by the member states. It's also an opportunity to showcase the co-benefit of tackling air pollution for health and climate and vice versa. Highlighting the connection between sectors and hence foster multi-sectoral cooperation, describing the role of the health sector and mobilizing it for action on air pollution, and finally, leveraging the health argument for action and commitment by the health and other sectors. Next slide, please. So what it is exactly, this is basically a brief that combines scientific and policy information in plain language. We work with a lot of experts, and it's always a challenge to translate the scientific language into something that is understandable for everyone. So we try to be to use plain language as much as possible. Each of these SPS can inform intergovernmental discussions by providing an overview of air quality and health science, providing case studies that highlight successes and challenges, and finally providing evidence-based policy recommendations. Next slide. So the topic covered in the SPS can be divided broadly into 4 categories. First, there is a general on exposure and health impact of air pollution. Second, we have the climate change linkages with air pollution and the impact on health, such as, for example, sun and the storms and wildfire and pollen. Third category is the policy actions. We have SPS on legislations. We have one covering the topic of transboundary issue, because this is the transboundary nature of air pollution. And of course, we have a wide range of sectoral SPS covering sectoral interventions such as transport, household energy, agriculture, waste burning, etc. And finally, we will have regional snapshots highlighting the specific challenges and processes in different parts of the world. Next slide. So the SPS, they are broadly organized in 3 sections. You first have a key message that basically the most important issues that summarize, where we have actions for short term, action for long term. Then we have an overview of the topic and the impact on health. We have current exposures, success stories, we have case studies, we have barriers, drivers and enablers of progress, interlinkages with other topics. And finally, there is a last section, which is on policy implication and the way forward. So we have recommended policy actions, research gaps, multi-sectoral engagement to reduce emission, and priority actions in the short, long, medium, and long term to improve health. Next slide, please. The target audience for the science and policy summaries, of course, this is primarily member states, but not only. It's also meant to be informative for intergovernmental organization. It is important for health community. There is also some recommendation for academia and of course for civil society organization. Next slide. Who developed the science and policy summary? So this is the most exciting, this was a very long process and the most exciting process. So basically we started over a year, almost 2 years ago, I will say, at least for the conception and trying to discuss what would be useful for countries to have, or what could WHO prepare. So we have been leveraging all our expert group, the expert group I mentioned before. We have been leveraging our collaborating centers. We have also been working closely with our colleagues from the UN system, but we have also worked with national agencies, institutes, and of course, key stakeholders such as medical association and international experts. Altogether, we had 270 contributors that were involved at the different level, discussing, writing, reviewing, contributing, discussing, etc., from 55 countries. So thank you to all of you. Next slide. Okay. Now here we are. So as mentioned, it was a long process. And on this page, you can find both the advanced draft that was published at the conference in March, as well as the final versions, which arrived slowly but surely once they have passed the long but needed WHO clearance journey. So I strongly encourage you to consult this page regularly, because we will put them on this website as soon as they pass the clearance. I think next slide. I think that's it for now. The World Health Organization, I would like to thank, as I said before, the many individuals and institutions for all the different entities that have been contributing to develop those slides. Next slide. I would like to thank my colleagues, of course, as I said before, because it's not me, you see my face, but it's a team exercise. So the Air Quality and Health Unit, bravo, this was great. Vive la science. And finally, the next one. Thank you to Maria. We would like to do a special thank you to Maria, because she's a very inspiring director, and she has been creating a space for us to work on science, on evidence-based, to work with experts, and she has been a great champion for this cause. So thank you very much, Maria. And now I would like to say that the SPS, it's not over, so we will have a second batch released later this year, but also we will have thematic webinars on the specific, because it's really worth, there is so much information in those SPS that we will organize webinars specifically for this. And but for the urgent thing, don't miss next week's inspiring session. We will have a spotlight on Paris, a dialogue with Mayor Anne Hidalgo and Marianera, where we explore how bold urban leadership is driving cleaner air, healthier communities, and climate resilience. So you can join us as we uncover powerful lessons from Paris' transformative journey towards a more equitable and sustainable city. With this, I close my part, and I would like to now switch to the next session. So I'm very privileged and honored to introduce Jonathan Samet and Kalpana Balakrishnan. So Jonathan Samet is a pulmonary physician and epidemiologist. He is the former dean of the Colorado School of Public Health and professor in epidemiology. His research has focused on health risk of inhaled pollutant in outdoor air and also indoor air pollutant, including secondhand smoke and radon. He has investigated the epidemiology of cancer and respiratory diseases, emphasizing the risks of active and passive smoking. He has served on and chaired numerous committees of the US National Academies. He chaired the US EPA Clean Air Scientific Advisory Committee and currently chairs the WHO Scientific Advisory Group on Air Pollution. He was elected to the US National Academy of Medicine in 1997. and Dr. Balakrish. So maybe I'll just start with John and then with Kalpana. Is that okay?
Okay, that's fine. We'll go ahead and I'm going to provide some very general, high-level comments about cross-cutting issues, and then Kalpana is going to follow and hone in a bit more and show why this why looking at sectors and cross-sector and multi-country collaboration is critical. If I can go to the next slide. Again, just a reminder, and we've already heard this, that a critical goal is to reduce the burden of disease from air pollution. Here's the target for SDG 3, and of course, reducing mortality attributable to household and ambient air pollution is critical. And coming from the Cartagena meeting, we heard about the objective. Next. Taking a look at what we all know is that there are multiple sources of the very complex air pollution mixture that we see in urban and, as a reminder, and in rural environments as well. People are exposed in multiple places where they live, where they work, where they walk, where they play, and where transport takes them. And next, looking at the multiple sectors that contribute on one side of this diagram to health and ecosystem impacts, and on the other, of course, these same sectors are contributing to greenhouse gases and the changes that are occurring to climate. Next. If we take a look at what are the sources of air pollution here, for example, a very important example, of course, PM 2.5, there are multiple sources. This slide comes from a review done by Phil Hopke and colleagues published about 5 years ago on source apportionment studies around the world. And the point I want to make here is that the colors in the circles differ, and that the source mix is quite varied around the world. And of course, there are gaps on the map that are critical. So if we take a look by WHO region at the relative contributions of different sectors to PM 2.5, they are variable. And again, indicating the importance of one size not fitting all and the need to have region and country-specific considerations around sector contributions to air pollution and disease burden and where control strategies need to be directed. Next. So if we look now at disease burden, and this is numbers of deaths coming from different sectors, many are making contributions, and importantly, the residential category is the highest bar, windblown dust is the second, and then follow a range of sectors needing to be addressed. Next. And if we take a look at greenhouse gas emissions, of course, with reference back to the earlier slide I showed, there's overlap naturally with the same sources that are contributing to air pollution burden. So when we think about the problem of reducing disease burden and achieving the co-benefits from climate change, we have to think about dealing with multiple sectors. We have to think about collaboration among sectors driven by governments leading to the collaborative efforts needed. And of course, there have to be regional commitments to reducing disease burden. These themes come through in the SPS documents, but they merit emphasis, I think, over and over again. And with that, we'll move on to Kalpana's segment of this presentation. So Sophie, I guess back to you.
To introduce Kalpana.
Yes.
Yes, of course. So Professor Kalpana Balakrishnan serves as a Dean, Research and Director of the WHO Collaborating Center for Occupational and Environmental Health at Sri Ramachandra Institute of Higher Education and Research in Chennai, India. Her research focuses on developing novel exposure assessment approaches and conducting large-scale epidemiological studies on household and ambient air pollution exposure and health effects among rural and urban population in low and middle-income countries. Through interdisciplinary and global collaboration, she has been actively engaged in building national and regional capacities for occupational and environmental health. She also serves on multiple global and national advisory committees concerning air pollution and health. She received her PhD and postdoctoral training in environmental health engineering from Johns Hopkins University. Over to you, Kalpana.
Thank you, Sophie, and greetings from the WHO Collaborating Center in India. And as always, Maria, it is such a pleasure and privilege to be invited to share perspectives at a WHO event, and this time at the global launch of Science and Policy Summaries. And I thought being an LMIC-based researcher, I wanted to highlight some unique features of this summary that make it especially useful for initiating, prioritizing, and even sustaining air quality actions, specifically for LMICs. If I can have the next slide. I think we all recognize, and Maria put it in a nutshell, that the bulk of the burden of the health burden falls on LMICs. But what makes actions particularly hard is the coexistence of multiple sources, making exposures seamless across rural and urban or city or state boundaries. And intersectoral cooperation has been challenging on account of multiple constraints. Traditionally, we have focused on identifying technical or physical infrastructure elements such as lack of monitoring systems. But as Maria very nicely put it, the most important challenge is when you bring in these sectors, the most popular refrain is, oh, I didn't know this. They might know a thing about a particular sector, but the lack of cohesive documentation that puts together the evidence and priorities across sources, exposures, and interventions has been an equally, if not more challenging element, and the SPSS fill this gap. They provide ammunition for those who want to do and contradict assumptions for those who say, oh, we didn't know this. Next one. And so when we talk about bringing multiple sectors together, and a lot of times the research evidence is there. Shown here, for example, is the population-weighted mean contributions for PM2.5 in South Asia. And as the research evidence begins to produce regional data on the contribution of emission sectors and fuels to PM2.5 exposures, shown here are the results for 29 states in India and 6 surrounding countries, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and Myanmar. And we find that, only 3 sectors are responsible for nearly the 1 million deaths in this particular region. Having SPSs that simultaneously summarize the evidence for the relevant sectors for these particular region and provide sectoral solutions for each one of these sectors is extremely valuable. And I think it's not just for risk communication across ministries, but to arrive at cost efficiencies for multi-sector solutions that would provide the most amount of benefit for the target populations. Next slide. And especially when these populations are vulnerable, such as in the rural areas of low and middle income countries, the SPSs provide the rationale for prioritizing health equity considerations. Shown here is the particular case of household air pollution, where the imperative for actions is based on benefits for health, gender, energy equity, and climate co-benefits. It identifies the primary barriers and makes a case for feasibility, as shown in the bottom panel, where the benefits outweigh the cost by an overwhelming margin. it also makes a case for it is not going to be possible to achieve the targets for this particular sector and achieve the targets for SDGs relevant in these geographies if we continue to operate with business as usual scenarios. The target projections, for example, Africa looks like over more than 500 million people still being exposed, in 2030, even if we achieve the national targets. And therefore, it is important for the SPSs to sort of really play an important role in highlighting the imperative for such actions. Next slide. I think both Sophie and Dr. Foster mentioned about not just intersectoral cooperation within a country, within a region, and across sectors, but also transnationally, because especially in particular regions where there's very high density of populations, we need to be looking at facilitating this dialogue. So the SPS on transboundary sits right on top of the sector-specific solutions and right on top of individual sector-specific solutions, such as the case for household air pollution. And I think it most importantly promotes the air quality management exchange platform. And a lot of time, we don't have a centralized repository of technical tools, models, data, and knowledge to build capacity amongst air quality managers worldwide. And the SPS on transboundary transport points to this tool that is already available. And if I can wrap all of this up, in summary, next slide, it really provides, I think, an opportunity for health sector leadership in unprecedented ways. It provides a health basis for actions, and as Sophie noted, and it presented in simple language and in unambiguous terms, it makes it so much easier for the health sector to voice this. It brings health, air quality management, energy, climate, and equity considerations on the same platform. No longer you have to talk about just a health prerogative for air quality actions. It provides the solutions, it brings the equity into the forefront. Most importantly, you can just take off material from the SPSS and I think use for health communication, which is what traditionally the health sector has been championing. It has been able to achieve so much transformation by bringing together this evidence and but for particularly the case of air pollution, this information has not been so readily available. The health sector has also played a lead role in bridging research evidence gaps. So it focuses on research evidence gaps. And most importantly, we have the fundamental scaffold for reaching all populations, whether it is through the universal health coverage systems or whether it is advancing the agenda for prevention of NCDs. And therefore, we can rest on the scaffold and create many opportunities for capacity strengthening that is, imminently needed if we have to advance this case of air pollution. So thank you, WHO, for providing the member states with this material, and we are so glad to be a part of it. And we hope to play an important role in disseminating this information within our regions and our geographies to take advantage of all of these resources and achieve the maximum impact for our populations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kalpana. Thank you very much, Kalpana and John. This is always a privilege to work with both of you. So thank you very much for this introduction remark. Now I would like to, now we will switch. So we will go to the second part of this webinar, and I will give the floor to my colleague Adder Rohani. She is acting unit head for the Air Quality, Energy and Health Unit and leads the household energy and health work in WHO. Over to you, Adder.
Thank you, Sophie, and thank you so much to Kalpana and John. That was great, and Maria and David. Those were all wonderful introductions and opening remarks. Now I have the privilege of really talking to the people that we hope, where we're learning from experiences from them and hope they'll be using these actions on the ground, and we're taking their knowledge as well, and that was captured in these SPS. So I have the privilege of actually talking to and having as a panel the practitioners who are using these SPS, or for which have been helped us inform these SPS to share the important lessons with others wanting to take action on clean air to protect health. The first panelist we're going to introduce is actually Miss Poppy Lyle. She's the head of Air Quality London in the UK, from the head of Air Quality in London, UK. She is specifically going to be talking to us about some of the work they've done in ultra low emission zones. She has to go shortly, so she's going to go ahead and kick us off. So Poppy, thank you for joining. Let me give you a little introduction to your background. Sorry, just a moment. So Poppy is a head of air quality at the Greater London Authority. She's got years of experience in air quality management. She oversees critical local initiatives. She manages the statutory London Local Air Quality Management Framework and administers some £20 million in the Mayor's Air Quality Fund with local authorities. So I was really looking forward to hearing from you, Poppy, about some of the great work you guys are doing in London with the low emission zones to protect health. So let me quickly, so if you could, floor is yours, Poppy, if you want to give us a little intro to some of the work you're doing on low emission zones. Over to you, Poppy.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. So I'm here to talk to you primarily about the ultra low emission zone. So if somebody could get me onto the next slide, that would be amazing. Lovely, thank you. So the problem that the ultra low emission zone was introduced to fix was, like many world cities, London is a really polluted. If we can go back one, that'd be great. London was very polluted. We were breaching legal limits and WHO limits, and we had some of the most polluted roads in Europe. Thank you. And we had an estimated 4,000 pollution-related premature deaths per year. So the communication challenge, I mean, I know a lot of people here have been working in air pollution for a long time, certainly up until about kind of 5 or 6 years ago, when I said to people that I worked in air pollution, like socially, they look at me a bit confused. But now when I say it to people, they're like, oh yeah, very important. We moved people from, us and other campaigners, but it was a lot to do with the kind of the messaging that was sent out at the mayoral level. We have all moved people from the state of 10, 15 years ago not having any idea really about air pollution, to certainly in London to recognising it as an issue, and an issue of importance, which is obviously a huge kind of leap. But there was still, you might have an understanding of it being important, but there was still a lack of understanding about the detail about how specifically it affects you as an individual. So that was, for bringing people with us, we needed people to understand how air pollution affects you and your family on a day-to-day basis, and how this policy will help that. There's also a lack of understanding around some technical things, the EU emission standards, and also some technical things about how the ultra low emission zone works. So there's a lot of things that we had to get people to understand, in amongst all the noise that people are subject to every day about everything else. So the approach was to build the understanding of health impacts, as I said, to promote, we had a vehicle checker so people could understand more about their vehicle, and also any vehicle that they would buy, and also to promote alternatives, public transport, walking, cycling. And another important aspect of our approach was support in the form of a scrappage scheme. We had a £210 million scrappage scheme to support people to change their vehicles. We can move on to the next slide. Thank you. How it operates. So the ULEZ now operates London-wide. So we started centrally, moved to inner London, and then we moved to the entirety of London. And there's a scheme for cars and smaller vans, which is the ULEZ, and then there's also the LEZ, the low emission zone, which is lorries and trucks, and also applies to the whole of London. And the way the scheme works is that if you have a vehicle that complies with the standards, you drive in for free. But if you have a vehicle that doesn't comply, there is a charge. So the point of that is that if you just go into London once or a few times a year, you don't have to change your vehicle. You can just pay this charge and go in for your essential business on a few days a year. And then there's a penalty if you fail to pay the initial charge, and that's all kind of detailed in the table, but I don't think we've got time for that. Let's move on. And then one more. Thank you. So 1 year on from the expansion of the ULEZ, we did an assessment into how it was impacting concentrations, and there are a few kind of really important findings that came from that. So over 97% of vehicles driving in the zone are compliant, so they're not having to pay the charge, and they're cleaner, which is exactly what we wanted, because it wasn't about making money, it was about cleaner vehicles. And it has led to a 20% reduction of NO2 concentrations across the whole of London. And this is obviously higher in central London, where pollution was more acute. But as you can see, it's very substantial across the whole of London. So 54% in central, 29% in inner, and 24% in outer. And then if we move on. So another important driver for the ULEZ was equality. Obviously, as is the case in lots of places, in London, air pollution tends to disproportionately impact people in more deprived areas. So it's an equalities issue. And as a result of the expanded ULEZ, there have been an estimated 80% reduction in people living in people in areas exposed to illegal levels of air pollution. And then if we move on. So lessons learned. So I know this is the kind of key part about this session is, what can you do if you're doing something similar? So as I said at the beginning, bringing people with us in terms of making them aware of why we're doing it and the health impacts for them personally, their families and their friends is really important at the start. But then once you've implemented these measures, you need to provide really robust information on how they're working. And that needs to be information that is trusted. So when we did the 1 year on report, we funded the study, but when we also got an independent panel of expert advisors who inputted on the methodology, they checked the report and approved it, so that we could make sure that we had external sources kind of validating what we were saying, and we made sure that that entire process was completely transparent and available on our website. And I think with trust kind of globally in politics not being very high, I think that it's really important to show robustness, independent analysis and transparency, and that's what we were really determined to do with this report. There was concerns around kind of its impact on business, and we've done an assessment that shows that it hasn't, the entire expanded ULEZ hasn't impacted either spend or footfall. And then communicating the impact. So another thing that we aimed to do was to try and make it really relevant for people locally. So we dived down into the data and provided local information for each borough, because London's split up into 33 sort of sections. And so we really focused information on how it's impacting you in your area was another part of our strategy. And then this is my final slide. I think I'm almost at my 7 minutes. It's not just ULEZ. There's lots more work that we're doing on electrification of our buses, taxis, as well as providing charge points for just normal people. And also supporting local measures. And we are also rolling out a measure to put PM filters into primary schools. And we are also looking at how we are going to meet the WHO final guidelines. So we're working on a kind of trajectory for that. Obviously, with background levels as they are in London, it's pretty challenging, but we're determined. So that's it from me. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Poppy. That was very interesting. And I think there's a lot to be learned from what is going on in London. And I really appreciate the ambition to really working to achieving the 5 micrograms per meter cube guideline level, because that is a challenge, but it is definitely a way that we can protect health. Now, can I ask one thing? You gave us a lot of lessons learned. What would you say was the most challenging in terms of getting the people to accept and really appreciate the low emission zones? And how did you share this information? How did you get the buy-in for basically to have this and have it be so successful in London? What advice would you give to another city authority who is interested in doing something similar?
Oh, I think it's really important to make it clear that it's not about kind of making money, because obviously it has to involve some kind of charge. I don't think there would be another way to do it unless it was a blanket ban, which would then be it would be very difficult if people just wanted to pop in once or twice a year, as we said. But I think being abundantly clear on like how you're going to use any money that's made, the fact that it's going to be reinvested, the fact that it's, the entire motivation is about health and the health of the people. I think making that crystal clear from the outset and continuing to demonstrate that is really critical.
Great, thank you so much. We'll definitely we're looking forward to sharing this experience with more cities and disseminating it more. So I'll let you go, as I know that you have another date attendance.
Not a hot date, just a meeting. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Bobby. All right, thank you so much. So now we're going to take a little zoom out. So we had the city look. So now we're going to pull into the countries. And so we're going to hear from a variety of countries in different places. And I think the place we're first going to zoom in is to one of the most populous countries in the world, but they've made great progress. And that's some of the great work that's happening in China. And I have the privilege of introducing Dr. Xiaoming Xi. He is the director of the China's CDC. Oh, I'm going to hold on. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Can I share the PowerPoint?
Yes. Just one moment. I'm sorry. My
Okay.
machine is not working. Okay. Okay. He's a professor and deputy director of China CDC. Excuse me. Sorry. Dr. Xi's primary research focuses on environment and geriatric health epidemiology. He's led more than 10 national level research projects. He's organized and implemented the China National Human Biomonitoring and spearheaded the establishment of the Healthy Aging and Biomarkers Cohort Study. His research findings have been published in prestigious international journals, including the BMJ, Nature, Aging, Lancet Public Health, Lancet Health Longevity, Environmental Health Perspectives, and the European Heart Journal. He's also led the formulation and revision of 3 national standards, including those for drinking water, hygiene, and indoor air quality. So he has really been a champion for public health. So over to you, Dr. Xi.
Thank you, Heather, for your introduction. And I'm happy to be invited to participate in this online seminar. Can you see the slides?
We can see them, and it's overall everything's looking good. So hear you very well.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much. I will introduce from the 3 parts: the China's air quality, the achievements and the challenges, and also the suggestions to WHO. First, China's air quality continues to improve. Over the past decade, the Chinese government has implemented a series of strong measures to continuously improve air quality. From 2013 to 2024, the percentage of days with good air quality in Chinese city increased from 61% to 87%. In Beijing, the number of heavily polluted days dropped sharply from 58 to just 2 days per year. China blue or Beijing blue have gradually become a normal part of China's people's daily lives. This is a very interesting slide. From 2013 to 2024, China's national annual average PM2.5 concentration decreased from 72 to 29, marking a 60% reduction. While making such remarkable progress in air quality, China's GDP more than doubled in the same period. This simultaneously achievements of improved air quality and steady economy growth serves as a proven model of green development for developing countries. China focuses on energy restructuring via a dual strategy, curbing traditional energy use and boosting clean energy. From 2015 to 2024, coal share in energy consumption fell from 64% to 53% through measures like coal caps and industry controls. Simultaneously, clean energy rose from 18% to 28%. China significantly advanced in controlling traditional energy use. By 2024, 19,022 sets of intelligent coal mining equipment were deployed, boosting production efficiency. Domestically developed high efficiency coal oven flue gas technology cut PM2.5, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen dioxide emissions by 30% below national standards. Transportation is also key to clean energy transformation. From 2012 to 2024, China's high-speed rail mileage surged, reaching 48,000 kilometers. Public transport electrification made notable progress. For example, Shenzhen pioneered full electrification in 2017, cutting annual carbon dioxide by 440,000 tons. China's air pollution control has also brought tremendous health benefits. From 2013 to 2020, the reduction in the concentration of PM2.5 and other pollutants led to an increase of 5.8 months in the average life expectancy per person. Second, the air pollution challenges in China. In 2024, although the average annual concentration of PM2.5 in China has dropped to 29 microgram per cubic meter. There is still a big gap compared to the WHO guideline value. There are still challenges to continuously reduce the level of air pollution in the future. New pollutants brought by new products or alternative products continue to appear, and the compound pollution problems formed by the superposition of new and old pollutions are increasingly prominent. In addition, the frequent occurrence of combined air pollution and extreme weather events also poses higher requirements for air pollution control in China. Finally, China is facing the challenge of population aging. In 2020 to 2040, the speed and number of China's population aging ranked first in the world. Air pollution and climate change have certain health impacts on the elderly. Third, I will put forward some work recommendations. According to the topic of this meeting, how can WHO help to reduce air pollution and protect health? WHO has updated and enhanced global response to air pollution control and health protection to achieve the overall target of a 50% reduction by 2040. WHO need support and guide the countries on 4 relevant activities, including knowledge evidence, measuring progress, institution capacity,
Dr. Shi, I think there's been some connection issues. We're having a hard time hearing you. I'm not sure if I feel that some of the others are starting. Could you maybe restart at this slide again? Perhaps this could help. Oh, there we go. We have you back on. Okay. All right. I still think we're having some technical issues, so maybe we can come back to you while the connection secures a bit more and we move to our next panel. But just to say, this was great to hear all the success and amazing, and to learn from what China has been able to do while continuing to really tackle air quality, protect health, prevent disease, as well as increasing economic growth. I think this multi-sectoral approach demonstrated really show to our next panelist, which will be Dr. Eleni Ignati. She's the Brazilian public health researcher, specialized. She's a professor at the Federal University of Mathematics. She focuses on the health impacts of environmental factors in the Amazon. Her research links air pollution from biomass burning to respiratory diseases and increased hospitalizations. She's also studied the spatial distribution of leprosy risks, emphasizing targeted surveillance, and Dr. Ignati's work informs policies aimed at reducing environmental health risk and improving public health strategies in Brazil. So looking forward to hearing from you, Dr. Ignati. Over to you.
Thank you, Heather. I'm trying to share my presentation. Olá. Um segundo. Just a moment, please. Oops. Okay. Is it okay?
We can see it. It's ready to go. Over to you.
Podem ver? Ok. Agradeço ao convite feito pela Organização Mundial de Saúde para esse importante debate. E a minha fala, eu represento aqui a Coordenação Geral de Vigilância em Saúde Ambiental do Ministério da Saúde do Brasil, e a minha fala é voltada para os desafios e oportunidades e como a Organização Mundial de Saúde pode melhor contribuir na região da América Latina nos esforços de implementar os padrões de qualidade do ar coletivamente. Bom, eu vou iniciar os meus comentários a respeito dos desafios, muitos já mencionados aqui durante essa sessão. O primeiro grande desafio está na necessidade do trabalho intersetorial do setor saúde e meio ambiente e transporte, e para que este trabalho intersetorial aconteça, é necessário integração de dados, análise de dados e produção de evidências científicas, em nosso caso, particularmente em relação aos impactos à saúde. Então, um importante desafio diz respeito aos sistemas de informação, a integração dos sistemas de informação ambientais e de saúde. Há também um importante desafio na qualificação profissional. Nós temos as universidades formam profissionais na área de saúde, na área biológica, na área ambiental, nas engenharias, mas não formam profissionais em saúde e ambiente. Então, o que parece trivial e simples não é trivial, não é simples. Então, é um importante desafio a qualificação profissional em saúde e ambiente. Há também importantes limitações, importantes gaps na regulação, na formalização de marcos regulatórios em relação a padrões de qualidade de ar. Então, esses três desafios estão interrelacionados e nós precisamos lidar com esses três desafios concomitantemente. Esse é um problema. O Brasil tem feito importantes progressos nos marcos regulatórios relacionados à qualidade do ar. Nós publicamos no ano passado, o país assinou no ano passado a Lei de Qualidade do Ar, o que é algo muito importante para o país, e nós também publicamos resoluções relacionadas a padrões de qualidade do ar. E o Ministério da Saúde participou ativamente dessas ações. E como o Ministério da Saúde pôde participar desses importantes marcos regulatórios? Produzindo dados, produzindo evidências dos impactos à saúde decorrentes da exposição à poluição atmosférica. Então, a produção de evidências é a forma de contribuição do setor saúde para que se estabeleçam marcos regulatórios, além de comunicar com a sociedade. Então, o Ministério da Saúde participa desse debate, mas fomenta, produz informações relevantes para que esse debate seja baseado em evidências. Nós continuamos participando no momento do Comitê Integrado do Fogo e também das discussões relativas aos episódios críticos de poluição atmosférica. Então, esses são alguns exemplos do que nós chamamos de política intersetorial. Temos outros exemplos, mas eu vou... Então, como a Organização Mundial de Saúde pode contribuir nesse cenário de demanda por trabalho intersetorial, produção de evidência científica e qualificação profissional? Nós entendemos que a Organização Mundial de Saúde pode apoiar na harmonização desses marcos regulatórios, fortalecendo os mecanismos de governança e de financiamento, bem como promovendo a qualificação profissional por meio de novas tecnologias. O que eu quero dizer? A Organização Mundial de Saúde já possui ferramentas que facilitam as estimativas de impacto à saúde e produz as estimativas de impacto em nível nacional, na esfera nacional, para o país. Mas isso não tem sido suficiente dentro dos países. Os países precisam de mais detalhamento para fortalecer esses marcos regulatórios. É necessário mais do que uma medida única nacional ou estimativas nacionais, mas medidas dentro do território nacional, por estados, por municípios, no maior detalhamento possível. Isso sim facilita estratégias de comunicação, estratégias de negociação intersetorial. Além dessas estimativas, é necessário traduzir tais medidas. Normalmente, os tomadores de decisão na área ambiental ou na área de saúde normalmente têm alguma dificuldade para compreender essas medidas epidemiológicas como medidas de impacto ou medidas de riscos em relação à poluição atmosférica. Elas são um pouco mais complexas do que indicadores simples de incidência ou taxas comumente usadas em outras áreas da saúde pública. Então, esse esforço de gerar estimativas e qualificar os profissionais, ele é necessário e tem que ser contínuo. Então, eu vou apresentar daqui a pouco um simples exemplo do esforço que estamos fazendo nessa qualificação profissional a partir de um material produzido pela Organização Mundial de Saúde. Os países também precisam produzir diretrizes ou guias que orientam o papel da área de saúde, das unidades de saúde, dos setores de saúde em relação à poluição atmosférica. Esse papel, para além do debate intersetorial, também é um papel voltado para a assistência. Então, essa orientação que pode vir da OMS de forma ainda mais detalhada, certamente contribuirá e fortalecerá com o trabalho dos países na América Latina ainda mais. Esse exemplo que eu trago, nós, no Brasil, criamos um painel voltado para a poluição atmosférica outdoor, e estamos implementando a aba, parte do painel, para o tema poluição indoor, mas nós produzimos dados estimados, modelados de satélite. Nós não temos monitoramento de qualidade do ar em todos os municípios brasileiros. Aliás, nós temos grandes vazios em boa parte do território em relação ao monitoramento da qualidade do ar, que vem sendo melhorado, implementado pelos órgãos ambientais, mas trabalhando com dados modelados, produzimos estimativas para todos os municípios e procuramos, a partir de uma ferramenta do ArcPlus, uma ferramenta disponibilizada pela Organização Mundial de Saúde, e produzimos tendências, gráficos simplificados que possibilitam a comunicação nos municípios, nos estados, para os tomadores de decisão, e por meio deste painel, desta ferramenta, aparentemente simples, nós temos conseguido comunicar mais a respeito dos impactos da poluição à saúde com todo o país, mas mais que isso, nós conseguimos contribuir no avanço e na aprovação da resolução que define os padrões de qualidade do ar e as metas de redução de níveis de poluição atmosférica para o país. Por quê? Porque conseguimos mostrar para os tomadores de decisão e para os conselheiros, né, do Conselho Nacional de Meio Ambiente, o que vinha acontecendo no país. Metas que muitos diziam inalcançáveis já haviam sido alcançadas. E o painel, por exemplo, possibilitou que mostrássemos a viabilidade do alcance dessas metas. Então, esse painel ele facilita a comunicação com a sociedade, a comunicação com os profissionais de saúde e facilita também a negociação intersetorial para redução de níveis de poluição atmosférica no país. Uma outra iniciativa que estamos finalizando este trabalho e esperamos apresentar em novembro, na COP30, para o período da COP30, quero dizer, que acontecerá no Brasil, é um curso elaborado pela OMS, voltado para profissionais de saúde em relação à poluição atmosférica, em que tivemos a autorização para traduzir e adaptar para o contexto da América Latina. Por quê? Porque comunicar que níveis a poluição na Ásia, na Europa ou no hemisfério norte traga riscos ou impactos à saúde é relevante, sim, para nós, mas é muito mais importante comunicar o que acontece localmente, e é esse esforço que estamos fazendo. Então, traduzimos esse curso, estamos traduzindo, adaptando aos dados locais e ainda incluindo um módulo voltado para a saúde infantil, contendo também orientações e aspectos clínicos. Bom, essencialmente, a mensagem principal da minha fala, eu penso que é a produção de dados de saúde, de dados de impactos à saúde decorrentes da exposição ambiental, gera informação baseada em evidência que possibilita e fortalece o trabalho intersetorial que todos nós falamos, mas que é, sem dúvida, muito desafiador. Então, é muito mais complexo se nós não tivermos essas estimativas. Muito obrigada.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Ignati. This was great to hear such amazing work that's going on in Brazil, this idea of really building the capacity of the health sector, increasing surveillance, and enhanced cooperation. We'll have, so one quick question for you. From your regional perspective in Brazil and Latin America, what are some of the key opportunities and challenges in fostering this kind of regional cooperation? Because we know air pollution passes boundaries. They don't know geographical country lines. What is it that you're doing in the region to really enhance this cooperation to tackle air pollution with other Latin American countries?
Uau, essa pergunta é bastante desafiadora. A resposta é difícil, mas nós somos muito próximos, trabalhamos sempre que possível em cooperação. E a instituição que possibilita essa cooperação é a Organização Pan-Americana de Saúde. Por meio da OPAS, a comunicação é facilitada entre países. No momento, estamos tentando utilizar as mesmas ferramentas que foram utilizadas na Colômbia, por exemplo, para avançar em relação a áreas verdes, enfim, a outros temas ambientais que não dá tempo de prosseguir aqui. Mas toda essa articulação ela é possibilitada e facilitada por meio da Organização Pan-Americana de Saúde. Obrigada.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Nadia. Indeed, not an easy question, but something we can, it's great to see the initiative there. Thank you. Now I'd like to turn, so we've traveled from London, we've traveled to Brazil, and now we're going to head over to Ethiopia. And I'm looking forward to hearing from Mr. Miskano Tenwachu. He works for the Ministry of Health in Ethiopia. He is a public health specialist at the Ministry of Health in Ethiopia with a foundation in epidemiology and health systems. He contributes to national efforts in disease surveillance, health data analysis, and policy implementation. He's very active in strategic initiatives such as strengthening mortality reporting and sample registration systems. He collaborates closely with the Ethiopian Public Health Institute, international partners, really helping to build robust data-driven responses to public health challenges. We know Ethiopia has really taken a big step in terms of tackling air quality for public health protection. So looking forward to hearing from you, Mr. Tenwachu. I would kindly ask you to please stick to the 7 minutes as we're running quite behind in terms of schedule. And although this is great information, we know that many people have things that they have to continue on. Over to you, Mr. Tenwachu.
Okay, thank you so much. Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear. Thank you so much.
Okay, so thanks so much. So I want to present on the multi-sectoral air quality and health interventions in Ethiopia. So next slide, please. So an outline, I have an introduction and the enabling environment and also the air quality health interventions and also the multi-sectoral actions and also the challenges and also the key ask for support to WHO and other partners to address the challenges. Next slide. So an introduction in Ethiopia, around more than 90% of households use traditional biomass fuels such as wood, dung, and charcoal for cooking and heating. So as this result, according to in 2019 Global Burden Disease Report, indoor or household air pollution is the second, and also the ambient air pollution is the 13th risk factor for the disease burden. And around this, for the children's, for the ocular respiratory infections, it contributes about 63%, and also respiratory illness among especially under 5 children is one of the leading causes of hospital morbidity and deaths in Ethiopia. So next slide. Also the chronic obstructive lung disease is growing concern among women, mostly in Ethiopia. Women are working at household levels for cooking and other activities, and also open burning, and also residential use of biomass fuels for heating and cooking are the main source of air pollution, especially at household air pollution. And this is the 10 years back, according to EDHS 2016 report. More than 95% of households and in urban areas, especially in slum areas, they use 75% of urban residents primarily use solid fuels, as mentioned above. That's wood, charcoal, and dung for cooking and heating. So even though it's the old report, but it gives an indication how the households use these biomass fuels. Yeah. Next slide. As an enabling environment, the Constitution of Ethiopia as a policy provisions related to air pollution, and under Article 92(1) of the Constitution, it states that all persons are granted to the right to clean and healthy environment, and also the Ethiopian health policy also it states about healthy housing, and the other one, the environmental policy lists objectives and measures to address issues related to air quality, and also the environmental pollution control proclamation. Mostly it focuses on ambient air quality standard and allowable emissions. So these are some of the enabling environments that exist in the country. Next slide. So regarding for the equality health interventions at the Ministry of Health, we are developing air quality and health guideline and also training materials. And also this in 2022, not 2022, it's in 2022, and also this guideline and also training materials is integrated into the Ministry of Health continuous professional development process, and also under this, we are conducting different knowledge and skill, including capacity building training is provided for over 50 subnational health and environmental health professionals, and also different advocacy and consultative workshops on the impacts of air pollution on health is conducted, and also during these sessions, interventions and also different actions are proposed and also for submitted to decision makers for their early actions. And also different mass media interventions also conducted through prepared spot is disseminated in the prime time, and also the clean and safe energy household interventions also promoted through our community health workers at the household levels. So these are the main activities that implemented as the ministry level. So next slide. Next slide, please. Regarding to the multi-sectoral actions, we are working on the solar electrifications of off-grid healthcare facilities in with both the government initiatives and also with the integration with different stakeholders, that is Gavi, UNICEF, and others, and also the air quality and health issue also integrated into our HNAP. And regarding the multi-sectoral action, we are developing the National Multi-Sectoral Action Plan of air pollution and health. Okay, so I think, okay, let me focus on the challenge. So the major challenges is that limited access to clean energy supplies, and also lack of knowledge and skill on the nexus between health, air quality, and climate change among health and health determined sectors, and also weak enforcement of existing policies and proclamations. Next slide. And also low public awareness and also lack of finance for air quality and health, including the installation and promotion of clean cook stove and cooking solutions, and also the integration and utilization of air quality data into health and DHS2 system is at infant stage, and also lack of research and evidence air pollution, especially at the country context. And also there is a weak collaboration and coordination among stakeholders. Next slide. So these are the key asks for WHO and other partners to address the challenges, especially support the revision and enforcement of national air quality standard, existing compulsory national air quality standard, and also provide training on monitoring and managing household air pollution, especially as professionals' lack of knowledge of how to monitor and manage household air pollution, and also facilitate coordination collaboration among stakeholders, and provide financial support for the implementation of multi-sectoral actions, as mentioned before, including integrated public health interventions. And also one of the major issues is that assist in establishing data systems to track household energy, pollutant levels, and health outcomes into the HS2 system morbidity and mortality. So these are the major issues that want to ask support from WHO or other interested partners. So thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tinmochu. This was a very interesting presentation, and indeed, Ethiopia has made great strides, and this idea and your surveillance and these things are key to moving things forward. I have a quick question for you, because Ethiopia, you know, household energy use is a very significant contributor to air pollution, and we can see that this is part of your robust national air quality plan. So what were some of the challenges in terms of actually integrating and addressing household energy? Have you worked in terms of working and implementing standards to improve household energy to make sure it's clean, to help reduce its air pollution impacts? Can you tell us a little bit more? Thank you.
Yeah. Regarding to the improving the household energy, we are working with the Ministry of Water and Energy and also Environmental Protection Authority and also different sectors to improve this the clean cooking solutions at household level. So as mentioned before, through the multi-sectoral action plan, we are stressing that to improve the household clean energy is one of the major areas that address in the upcoming years. So these are our initiatives that focus on. And also at the community levels, we have as extension workers. They promote on the clean energy use, and also especially they promote on the smokeless stoves, especially to prevent the under 5, the mothers, and also the elderly, especially the vulnerable groups. So we're working on these initiatives.
Wonderful. No, that's great. And indeed, vulnerable populations is good that we can protect their health and they're being prioritized. So thank you so much. We learned a lot from the experiences in Ethiopia. So now we're going to travel a little bit further around the world, and we're going to travel to the United Arab Emirates. And we're going to hear from Dr. Mazen Malakawi. And Dr. Mazen is an advisor to the Occupational and Environmental Health Unit of the UAE Ministry of Health and Prevention. With extensive experience in public health and occupational health, he provides strategic guidance and national health initiatives, policy development, and intersectoral collaboration. His expertise supports the ministry's mission to create healthier workplaces and promote environmental health resilience in line with national and international standards. And I've had the privilege to work with Mazen over the years via the WHO EMRO office. So over to you, Mazen, to hear a little bit more about the experiences in UAE.
Indeed, I was privileged to be part of the WHO team and part of the team who worked on the SPSs. I hope you see my presentation.
We see it and hear you well. Over to you, Mazen.
Okay. And one of the positive issues about air quality and health in the United Arab Emirates, that the decision makers, policy makers, researchers, and even the community are aware of the public health impacts of air pollution. In fact, 10 years ago, there was an extensive exercise trying to prioritize the public health risks, to the public in Emirates, and ambient air pollution was ranking number 1 out of 14 risk factors, and indoor air pollution was ranking number 2. From that perspective, the government is ready to move. Although the GDP of the United Arab Emirates increased by 34 folds since 1990, the levels of air pollution are slightly decreasing, not to the level that we want, but they are slightly decreasing, and because of a very well-known problem of dust here in this part of the world. Use of solid fuels is not practiced here in the Emirates, but there are other sources of air pollution. Unfortunately, I don't see my presentation. Would you please, who will? I'll move to the. Can you move it from your side, because I don't see it?
We can see the presentation. We see population. We did mean PM 2.5 over the years.
Yeah, now you are on this. As you see, there's a slight decrease, but as I said, because of the very high levels of natural sources of air pollution, and because of the accelerating development that is happening in the country, I'm glad to share with you that United Arab Emirates maintains a very sophisticated and state-of-the-art network for monitoring and informing the public about the air quality. It's real-time information. It goes with public health messages. When to talk about the sources of air pollution in the United Arab Emirates, a very detailed project was done by the Ministry of Climate Change and Air Pollution. I hope you see the slide, but the major sources of air pollution, in addition to the natural sources, are the industry, transport, the navigation. Next. Please move to the other slide.
Apologies, technology is not on our side today. Just a second.
Yeah. I'm sharing it, but I don't have control over that. This is
there we go.
Okay, this is. As I said, there was a detailed exercise on the anthropogenic sources of air pollution, and the government knows, the managers knows exactly the sources, and the management plans are done accordingly. But industry, transport, navigation, and power generation and desalination. And desalination is one of the different sources, different from other parts of the world. When it comes to the indoor sources of air pollution, they are different, from the very classical use of solid fuel in the household. Dampness and mold cleaning is a very important source. Construction-related chemicals, pesticides, tobacco, and incense smoke. And in the United Arab Emirates, actually, a very big national survey, a national health survey, was just completed last month, and hopefully we will see the results. And in that survey, actually, we were looking for the sources of energy and technologies that is being used at the household level. Hopefully, before the end of the year, we know exactly how many of the population uses clean energy, and to what level. Yeah, the United Arab Emirates, they compiled the National Air Quality Agenda 2031, and we are proud in the Ministry of Health that we were major contributor to this. We were very keen to make health as a determining factor in this strategy. In broad terms, in the ambient air, continue effectively monitor and manage outdoor air quality. As I said, there is a very robust network of air quality monitoring stations, but we will continue supporting it and enrich it with new technology. Air quality is a key consideration during the development and implementation of strategic projects, particularly the health aspects of air quality. And then it has different activities to reduce emissions arising relating the different emitting sectors for transport, for industry, for all the sectors. And one of the issues that is very important and might be different from other parts of the world, the regional cooperation to manage transboundary pollution, and the main transboundary pollutant is dust, actually. And although it might be a very political issue, but this is happening. Dust is coming from Africa, dust is coming from China, dust is going from the region to the other parts of the world, and we need to foster regional collaboration to control this very important source of air pollution. Although source apportionment studies are not up to the standards, but the available ones are telling that 30 to 50% of the PM 2.5, for example, is coming from dust sources. When it comes to the indoor air quality part of the strategy or the agenda, we started, the country started to effectively monitor and manage indoor air quality. There is an attempt to actually develop a national standard for indoor air quality. And for those who don't know the region, people spend here more than 96% of their life in the indoor environment. It's a different exposure model, different than what is going in other parts of the world. There is a serious efforts, to monitor the indoor environment and try to control the indoor environment. The final say that I want to, or the lessons learned, when as I said, I was part of WHO for some time, and the challenge was that whenever you put the WHO guidelines, the governments was thinking that this is impossible to achieve. But what is the new thing that we are doing in the Emirates? We are sticking to the interim targets and to the gradual reduction of air pollution. And in the agenda that I mentioned, actually, the main objective of the agenda is to achieve a level of PM 2.5, not 5 actually, but to the one of the WHO interim targets. For the gradual reduction of air pollution was the magic, let me say, to convince the policymakers in putting resources to help in this very serious issue. Back to you.
Great, Mazen, thank you so much. And it's really great to see some of the great work that the UAE is doing in terms of monitoring, looking at standards, desert dust, etc. So considering your experience working in the Emro region, what are some of the lessons that we can learn that the other countries within the region, considering the transboundary nature that you mentioned, that there's no borders, that UAE can translate and transfer to other countries in the region to really tackle air quality in a holistic way to protect health? What are some experiences?
Yeah, actually, the lesson that I said, don't address the whole issue at once. It's impossible. Within the levels of air pollution in the region, it's quite impossible to reach to the level of but the gradual approach is doable, and linking that to the health rather than saying, this level of air pollution is killing so much people. You say, okay, if we reach to the level of this amount of air pollution, we will save those lives. For that is working. It worked in Emirates, and I think it will be working also in other countries of the region.
Great. Thank you so much, Mazen. This was great to learn. It was great to have the final country tour, a world tour in stopping in the UAE. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
With that, I'd like to go ahead and conclude our webinar. We were going to have Q&A, but considering how much of a fruitful conversation we've had, we well exceeded our time. And thank you to those participants that stayed on and listened. So we've heard, just as a quick wrap up and summary. First, before doing anything, I would like to thank the donors that help the science and policy summaries that we are sharing with, as it's really important and an opportunity to thank them because they're really supporting sharing the science. So again, we'd like to really provide a big thanks from, for example, the Clean Air Fund, the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office of the United Kingdom, the government of the Netherlands, the Ministries of Foreign Affairs in the European Union, the government of Spain, Norwegian Agency for Development and Cooperation, and the Spanish Agency for International Cooperation. So those were really some of the people that made this great science and policy summaries happen. In this speech, in this various webinar, we got to hear a lot of interesting angles and perspectives. We had opening remarks from Dr. Nera and Mr. Foster, really kind of setting the scene, highlighting the relevance and timeliness of these science and policy summaries. We heard, we were also set the scene from Dr. Palakrishna and Dr. Samet, setting and telling us about the health and climate linkages, the importance of really looking at the sources, as well as making sure that we target those vulnerable populations. We heard about some success stories in the London and really tackling the transportation pollution via ultra low emission zones. We heard from Dr. Shi and the wonderful experience that China has done, really doing multi-sectoral approach to tackle air quality while ensuring economic growth at the same time. We heard from Dr. Ignati and the great work that Brazil is doing to really improve epidemiological surveillance, and as well as establishing air quality standards. We've heard from Mr. Meskunu Tanwachu about the great work Ethiopia is doing about addressing air quality and health with their national air quality plan, really highlighting some of the sources, in particular household energy. And then we had the opportunity to indeed hear from Mr. Malaki and the great work that UAE is doing around air quality standards, monitoring, and really tackling sources like desert dust and the working with other countries in the region. So we really did a great tour of the world, but really, as noted, air pollution is a collective problem for collective action. So we really need to highlight the great work of different countries and cities around the world. And these science and policy summaries should really help support that moving forward. And please stay tuned for regular updates as we continue to publish these throughout the coming weeks. And again, we'll have our next launch of the second batch of the science and policy summaries September 4th. And we also want to highlight a great webinar we're having next week with the Mayor Hidalgo from Mayor of Paris and Hidalgo, where she's going to highlight some of the great work that they have done as well in the city of Paris to tackle air pollution while also addressing climate change and protecting public health. So many thanks to you all. We will provide some questions and answers as much as we can via emails and responses, being in light of time, and really wanted to thank you for tuning in, and please stay tuned for the rest of the webinar series that we'll be having over the rest of the year. Thank you all, and let's all work together to make sure we have clean air for all to protect the public health of everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Pam.